on management theory, and this is YCA business theory session. So, what we do is, if you haven't seen the previous ones, what we do is we do presentations. We are going to do addas. We do discussions where I don't show any presentation. I just talk, with the experience of professionalism, with the experience of the industry. If you have stayed in the industry for a long time, the insights you gather, the wisdom you gather based on those things. And when I do the theory sessions, or when I give a presentation, I mention specific things. um, it may be a concept, it may be a theory, it may be I'm organizing things in a particular way to show you something based on a particular topic of the day. But the discussions are not based on only one or two topics. Even if I start with one or two topics, you will see occasionally what I do is I include a lot more topics with the broader perspectives, with a broader perspective, so that you can get insights and you get the interconnectivity of the concepts together, because it is not staying in vacuum. If I talk about business, if I talk about, suppose we did a session on economics, marketing, finance, it is not in vacuum. So you have your company, you have your functional elements, you have the external environments, and you are interacting, you are embracing the forces, you are looking at the opportunities, threats, and strengths and weaknesses. So you are looking at outside opportunities and threats, you are looking at inside your business strengths and your weaknesses, how you can manage those things to get an edge in the marketplace, in the environment. It can be public administration, it can be non-profit, it can be a leadership position in a society, it can be a for-profit organization, whatever you choose to do. But whenever we are talking about management theories, today we will talk about management from different perspectives. Mostly it will be like a management theory jungle, because you need to understand that theory too. When we have different perspectives of management, we know that everything is coming together and you have the management theory jungle. Then how can you survive? Then there is a debate whether management is a science or art. Some people say, since you are practicing management, or while you are practicing management, what you are doing is you are actually doing the artistic way. Not artistic way, the art of management. So, what is the difference between the artistic way and the art of management? If you go to my other channels, you can understand how I'm talking about all those things. But understand what is art, what is the artistic way. When you are doing business, you are keeping in mind that you have to do a surplus. Your cost is there, your revenue is there. The more profit you have, the better it is. Sometimes people are focusing on shareholder value, stock price, they are missing the profitability. But we talked about the balance scorecard, we talked about other things as well. The metrics by which you are measuring the progress of your company, the success of your company, it cannot be only financial metric, there are other metrics as well. Saying that financial metric is one of the most important things, otherwise why are you in business in the first place? So if you want to make a surplus in terms of profit, in terms of anything else, maybe satisfaction or anything else, so you will see that we come to finance, we come to marketing, we come to personal, which is HRM, we come to the production. Again, we will talk about the production and operations management. So these are there. Then you have the forces, which I have mentioned, and the dynamics of the workplace itself, the culture you have, because people are coming together, they have their own things, they are coming with their own egos, they are coming with their own attitudes and preferences. Then how do you do the management? So generally, or often, what we do is, because I listen to some other questions, I listen to some other people talking, and I see from the real life experience or the pragmatic experience, sometimes you study different aspects of management, you read a lot about management, you practice a lot of management, but you miss out the general management things. Now, if I talk about Peter Drucker, if I talk about Jack Welch, they have written in a prolific manner about management. If I talk about general management, especially if I talk about Peter Drucker, he has written a lot in terms of general management. So often we uh, forget the basic general management principles, and then we can take a step back and we can understand that those are the things we needed. So POSLC, I talk about about POSLC. That means your it's not strategy. You're doing planning. Strategy has happened in the conceptual and the design level at the top management level. So you have done your strategy, you have your vision, you have your horizon, right? Then you're doing planning, then you're organizing, then you are doing the staffing, then you are doing the leading, then you are doing the controlling, where you are looking at the deviations from your goal or objectives, and how can you make sure that your goal is achieved, your objectives are achieved. So you are doing those management tricks and techniques or steps. But if you go to the next slide, you will see I have mentioned. So this is the thing. In the left, you can see I am mentioning you. I'm mentioning here these steps of management, like planning, organizing, staffing, leading, controlling, whatever I just mentioned. And then you will see the organization levels, organizational structure, creating a surplus, as I mentioned, financially, or for the employees, you are creating something more than the incentives itself, or the incentives, something more than the incentives. You are creating a culture of satisfaction. People are very happy to work with you, work in your environment. So you are creating that environment. That environment is giving a boost to the employees, that it is not about just the work they are doing, the physical work, the they are doing, but rather than it is something much more, you know and designing solutions, because you have problems. Is management more than the decision making itself? Is it more than decision making only? Then you can figure out what is it. What are the things that you can put in that more step, in that gap between decision making and management? What are the things you can bring in? But decision making being a significant part, you need to know about management. General management, specific kinds of management, functional management, or when you are taking a particular department, for example, marketing management, financial management, or HRM, human resource management, it can be production operations management, can be specific business units. But sometimes you will see that the values and principles, the management processes and principles, and you have your general management. They are actually integrating everything. You will see that if you go to the top, if you are at the top, if you are in the top management level positions, you will see for those specific purposes, you can take people, you can hire people, you can hire talents. But when you are running the business, you have a mission statement, you have the vision, and you know what your business stands for. You know what you stand for as a person. Your values and principles, your ideals. Then you have all these theories, science, processes, principles, practices, then your different things and talents you can hire, people you can hire who can re-engineer the process, who can deal with the process, who can make it lean, cutting down the wastes, uh, cutting down the waste and the different types of waste. They can do that, but you have to have a grasp of the general management at a broader level. So planning, organizing, staffing, leading, controlling, managerial functions. And if I talk about the environment itself, you will see that political environment. When you look at the business as an entity, it is there and it is surrounded by. I talked about, if you go to the stakeholder communication playlist, you will see I have drawn some concentric circle. I missed out one thing. I am doing discussions. I am doing your this. Theoretical discussions with presentations. I'm doing discussions without the presentation, where I'm talking about a lot of things together, an integrated approach. And you will see me doodling a lot, drawing things. I'm making sure that you understand the case studies, you understand the concepts. So I am drawing a lot of things. I'm drawing different definitions. I'm drawing the practical implementation of the definitions. So all those things I'm doing. And just give me a sec. Yeah. So the environment, when you are talking about the environment, the political aspect, the economic aspect, the social aspect, the technological aspect, the ecological aspect, or the environmental aspect, ethical factors, and the legal environment. So you are there in the environment, and these forces are shaping you in a good way or in a bad way, but those forces are there. You have to acknowledge those forces. So you have to look at the environment, you have to study the environment, you have to scan the environment, you have to scan different aspects of the environment. Then with your general management principles, with your specific business unit management, you can deal with the problems. You can do uh, the problem solving, you can do the decision making, but you have to understand all these things are together, right? Now, I will talk about the levels of management. So, at the bottom level, I have mentioned it many times. So, if you go to my stakeholder communication, and I have done few sessions on general management, so you can see I have mentioned all these things. So, at the lower level, I'm just giving you a brief on this. In the lower level, you are focusing on technical skills. Even if you are a supervisor, you are adept with the technical skills, because people who are working under you, they are showing their intellectual skills, technical skills, um, intellectual in terms of the technique or the technical skills you require to do the particular job. So those are there, and human skills, when your interpersonal skills are coming into place, people are interacting, these interactions you are studying, you're managing those interactions, you are managing that communication, you are doing the communication yourself, you are conveying your work, you are delegating it to the people who have to do the work. So organizational structure, how it is formed, this person has to do this particular job, this set of people has to do a particular job. Sometimes there can be an overlap, one person is doing in this and this, but you are doing working on the human skills, interpersonal skills, person to person, you are interacting with the people, how you are dealing with the group dynamics, how you are dealing with the group of people who are supposed to do the work, apart from the technical skills. So mid level management, they can deal with the supervisors, they can deal with the lower level employees. And I can tell you, it can be very situation specific. In a large organization, the scenario can be very different, because you have a lot more people defining the hierarchy, defining the organizational structure. You have the strategic business units, you have the business units, you have a lot of people in between. But if I talk about a simple organization, when you are starting out, top level, mid level, top level, mid level, and bottom level. So in the bottom level, you are focusing more on the technical skills. People are adept with the technical skills. Supervisors overseeing, and in some organizations, you will see the number of years as an experience. It is counted because um, with the number of years you are interacting with people, your subordinates, your supervisors, so you are getting a knack of this human interaction, your professional experience, how people work in the work culture, how their whims, their preferences, how their skills can be utilized. You are observing, you are learning all these things. Mid-level management, you're doing those human skills. Conceptual design skills are very important thing, because we need to talk about it. Often we ignore that, but at a strategic level, at the top level, design skills are very important. Then you are delegating your tasks to the mid level, and then maybe they are delegating it to the lower level, and they are doing the technical skills. But three concept, I have mentioned it, and three words I will mention again: productivity. What do we mean by productivity? Your output and input ratio within a time period. Suppose you are taking oranges and you are making a juice out of these oranges, bottles of juice. So, if you are giving the oranges as an input, provided you are keeping everything else aside, you are only getting the pulp of the orange, and maybe you have a business process, maybe it can be just a mixer grinder or a juicer. So, you are giving the pulp of the orange to a juicer, and you are getting a bottle of orange juice or a glass of orange juice. Now, instead of the a juicer, you are having a production process in place. So maybe you are giving 10 more oranges. They are getting crushed, juice is getting extracted from the oranges, and you are getting bottles of oranges. So your output is the bottles of oranges. Your output is what? A collection of the bottles. Bottle of oranges and a collection of the bottles of oranges. Why did I mention that? If you have heard of Henry Ford, if you have heard of assembly line, the mechanical engineering aspects, the production aspects, you will see that maybe initially one orange you give to the juicer, you get one glass or one bottle of juice. Then you figure out the assembly line, you figure out the entire production process. You are just giving oranges or after oranges, the pulp of the oranges, and you're getting bottles and bottles of juice, bottles of juice, bottles of juice, bottles of juice. You're getting that. Maybe you have another equipment in place. When the bottles are going to that particular region, they are putting a cap on it or they are putting a seal on it. With the assembly line, you can do that. But there can be, if you are starting small, if you don't have the assembly line, what you are doing, maybe one, suppose a very easy or simple example. One person is giving the pulp of the orange, you're taking the juice out of it, you're having a glass of orange or you're having a bottle of orange, and you are serving it to the customer. Or if they want to take it away, they want to take it home, you are just sealing that bottle and you are giving it to them. The simplified business process, the simplified production process. But why I am talking about personal? Because the people who are making it happen, personal, your people, the production process, how can you enhance the process? Today you are doing one orange, tomorrow you can do thousands of oranges. So you have a business process in place. You are just giving the pulp of the orange, and at the output you are getting bottles after bottles. And if there is someone who is doing the branding, branding means suppose you have a sticker of the logo or the brand in place. So there is one person or maybe one machine can be automated very well, because this for this job you don't need human intervention. So some people have designed the logo. So you are branding that bottle. The blank bottle, somebody, if you do it manually, is putting a logo on this bottle and you are branding the bottle. If it is automated, if you have robots to do the work, they are just taking it, they are putting the level. Ultimately what you are getting, you are getting a bottle of orange juice or a glass of orange juice. Let's talk about bottle only, a bottle of orange juice, and you are putting a level on it, so it has your brand. So if that person could have bought it in the open market, maybe the price could have been 10 rupee to 20 rupee. I'm talking in terms of, the Indian context, Indian market. Hypothetical example. In terms of dollar, what you can have, $5, $10, depending on the quality of the juice you are providing. But when you are putting that level of the brand, it is enhancing the price, because your brand comes with some value. Your brand value is increasing the price. So for example, যদি আমি 10 টাকার একটা বটল তৈরি করতাম, যদি আমি ব্র্যান্ডটা তার উপরে দিয়ে দিলাম, তাহলে সেখানে আমি 100 টাকা চার্জ করছি, and people are buying that. They are not hesitating to buy that. Why? Because you have worked on the brand. The brand is an established brand. So rather than paying for 10 rupees for a particular bottle of juice, they are paying 100 rupees, but they are associating with the brand sometimes because the brand is having a brand personality, brand persona, brand characteristics they can attach to. So they are paying for the brand too, apart from the product itself. That is how we can talk about management or the business processes, how the management can occur. Again, POSLC, planning. You're planning that you are going to get those bottles of juice. Organizing, you're organizing people, you're making the organizational structure so that people can actually make it happen. Some people will go give the pulp, some people will work on the business production process, some people will remove the seeds from the oranges, some people will brand the bottle, some people will seal the bottle. Then ultimately you are getting the bottle. When you're looking at the bottle, it is a packaged product, or maybe something else you are offering as a package apart from the bottle. You are wrapping it really well, you are having a box of the bottle of orange juice, and ultimately when you are receiving that, you're opening that package, you are having the bottle, it is having the brand logo there, that brand logo is communicating in a different way, then you are having the orange juice. The entire thing is affecting you as a customer. The brand, the juice, the quality of the juice, organizational structure, that producer, যারা ওটাকে তৈরি করছে, people who are actually making it happen, who are actually creating that product, they are thinking about that organizational structure, how the entire thing will happen. When you are buying as a customer, you are just buying a piece of bottle, but maybe one day you want to make a business out of that orange juice because you like that orange juice. You are figuring out, how can I make a business out of this orange juice, because I think I can provide a product which is better than this product. So you have that confidence, you want to go for an entrepreneurship venture. So what you can do, you have to understand planning process. You're having your goals, objectives, and planning. Then you're organizing your organizational levels, organizational structure. Then you're looking at the staffing, how you will take people to do some particular jobs. Then you have the leading process, you're inspiring them, the brand value, the vision, the mission statement, your leadership persona, your leadership style, how you are taking everyone into this decision making scenario. It's an open environment, the culture is shaped in a way people are coming and they are very satisfied to do the work, they are feeling a lot of joy and passion to do the work, they're doing that. And controlling, if you see that that orange juice is not particularly maintaining the quality of my brand, what you can do, that deviation has occurred, you are learning from the deviation. So what is wrong with that bottle of juice? Is it the brand concern? Maybe the label was put in a different way, so you are rejecting the bottle. Maybe the orange juice was not produced in a good way, which is not aligned with your brand value, you are rejecting the brand. So what is the scenario? You are figuring out, controlling, then you are putting people to do the job, to make things right. Effectiveness, how you are achieving the objectives, your achievement of the objectives. Effectiveness, often people make a mistake because they cannot differentiate between effectiveness and efficiency. Effectiveness is how you are achieving the objectives, the achievement of the objectives. Is it an effective process? That means you have achieved your objectives. It is an effective process. If you haven't, it is not an effective process. Efficiency, when you achieve that with least amount of resources. I talk about it a lot because resource allocation, you will see, it's a part of planning too. Or maybe it is planning. You figure out, when I give you these questions, you think and you figure out, I know the answer and I am willing to discuss with you the viewpoints or the perspectives, but these are the things you should ask. Resource planning. Efficiency, if I allocate my resources in a very efficient way, obviously I have some planning. There is element of strategy too, but when I am planning, strategy is at a higher level, but maybe it is backed by a strategy, right? So that's why productivity is your output input ratio within a time period. We will talk about throughput too with examples. I think I have already. So effectiveness is the least amount of resources. Suppose you are doing it with 10 people. If I talk about people as a human resource rather than capital or whatever it is, labor and people, you could have done it with 100 people, you are doing it with 10 people only, and they are not even overwhelmed by the work. So you are efficiently using your resources. If you could have done the business, just giving you one example, but you can do it in so many other ways. You are improving the resource allocation, economical forces, so many things you can learn from. Your common sense can help you, but ultimately what are you doing? You're producing this amount of bottles, you're cutting your cost, you're improving the process, you're improving the efficient allocation of human resources and other resources. So you are doing a job of efficiency, right? And you are achieving without compromising the quality. That is very important. Sometimes what happens is you are cutting the cost, you are using least amount of resources or maybe less resources, but you're compromising the quality, then it doesn't work. Because if you are not maintaining the quality, if you have a brand which shouts for quality, or which maintains the quality in the brand value or the characteristics, at least whatever you mention in front of public. They say that you hold this badge of quality with you, but if you don't do that, means there is something wrong. That's why productivity, effectiveness, and efficiency. Cutting the cost or cutting everything, it doesn't mean you're reducing the quality. Often people ignore that, and that can be a big mistake in terms of your brand in the long term horizon. So scientific management, I will talk about few types of management. Scientific management, you know, Frederick Taylor said that raise productivity through greater of efficiency in production, increased pay, applying the scientific method. So he is applying the scientific method, creating group harmony and cooperation. So people are working together. We talked about the organizational part, organization structure, and the organizing activity. People are working in harmony. They're creating group and cooperation, and the group harmony is happening. So they are very happy to do the job. Maximum output. He's talking about maximum output. Whatever I just mentioned, you're increasing your productivity. That means if you have output at nominator, if you have your input at denominator, you're going for maximum output. That means you're going for maximum productivity, keeping the input constant. So developing workers, he talked about. Then Henry L. Gantt is a very famous name because you must have heard of Gantt chart. If you have been in the business scenario for a long time, you must have heard of Gantt chart. গ্যান চার্টে যেটা আমরা করি অনেক সময় এই বিজনেস প্ল্যানিং করার জন্য, প্রজেক্ট প্ল্যানিং করার জন্য আমরা গ্যান চার্টটা ইউজ করি, স্কেডিউলিং এর জন্য গ্যান চার্টটা ইউজ করা হয়। অ্যান্ড there are many other things he talked about. Harmonious cooperation between labor and management. Labor, people who are doing the work; management, who are managing. Harmonious cooperation between this labor and management. The need for training, he talked about, because obviously nowadays we talk about training, we talk about designing a training, we talk about whether the training is effective or not. Often you will see we don't do enough analysis. We started to do this. We started to do uh, this particular thing to achieve this particular objective, or maybe we could have been flexible, we could have done this and that, but the objective was very clear. We wanted people to learn this, we wanted people to be adept with those skill sets. It can be knowledge sharing, it can be skill set training, it can be the professional attitude you are cultivating. So many ways you can design a training, depending on the levels of management, depending on the requirement, depending on the current state of the employee, how much he or she can grab, how much he can lead, how much he or she can grasp this business aspects, or the leadership aspects, how much he or she can uh, solve the problems, make great decisions, take great decisions, or create a culture of great harmonious cooperation. So depending on that, maybe you are creating a training. So Gantt chart, we know. Frank and Lilial Gilbreth, they did something really great. They did the time and motion studies and human aspects of the work. So Frederick Taylor, when we talk about Frederick Taylor, we talk about scientific management because he's talked. He's called the father of scientific management, and the scientific method application he talked about, organized knowledge. I will come to that after a while. Not a rule of thumb. Rather, from that, you are taking a scientific approach, and you are having organized knowledge as a part of your management process. Frank and Lilial Gilbreth, they focused more on the human aspects, workers' personalities, workers' needs, industrial psychology. They studied industrial psychology. It was an application of industrial psychology too, where they studied people. And modern operational management, when we talk about Fayol, Henri Fayol is the father of modern management. So he divided this industrial activities into six types: technical, commercial, financial, security, accounting, and managerial. And he talked about 14 principles of management, and they were not absolute, they were flexible, you know. So I will come to that: spirit, the corps, and then your scalar chain, authority, and responsibility. He talked about behavioral sciences, Hugo Munsterberg, and there will be an omelette over you. I couldn't give it, but what he did: psychology to industry and management and industry. Now you have to understand one thing: nowadays things are much easier, because nowadays when we talk about psychology, it can be social psychology, it can be industrial psychology, it can be anthropology, it can be the personal psychology or individual psychology. It becomes very easy to talk about all these things. But when I am mentioning the evolution of management or the management theories, how it came to this, through this from that, you have to understand, at that point of time, applying psychology to industry and management could have been a great thing, because people were not having this much information, people were not having these theories in the first place. So when I talk about Frederick W. Taylor, he looked at things, he contributed in his own way the scientific method, the father of scientific management, and creating group harmony and cooperation, but maximum output, developing the workers. Gant contributed in his own way. Frank and Lilial Gilbreth contributed in his own way, time and motion studies. Fayol, the father of modern operation management or operational management, he contributed in his own way the 14 principles. Then we have Hugo Munsterberg, Psychology to Industry and Management, Walter Dill Scott, Advertising, Marketing, Personnel. He applied psychology to this: advertising, marketing, and personnel. Max Weber, theory of bureaucracy, one of the significant contributions of Max Weber. Wilfredo Pareto, an economist, he gave the social systems approach to organization and management. The social systems approach. Elton Mayo and F.J. Roethlisberger, they did the Hawthorne studies. Very important. Elton Mayo, especially because many people were a bit skeptical about the study, but it is Elton Mayo who, along with F.J. Roethlisberger, they did an observation where they could find that there are significant elements in this study, in the Hawthorne studies. So what they did actually is, and many people are not having good idea about this, changing illumination, the lighting condition of the place. You are changing the illumination of the light. You are modifying the rest periods. For example, you are doing the work for this particular amount of time, then you are taking rest. Now how long you are taking the rest? Modifying the rest periods, because you are relaxing, you are doing the work, again stress and relaxation. Shortening the work days, 9 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever be the thing, you're shortening the work days. Varying incentive pay systems, you're changing the incentive pay systems. What is motivating the workers? Is something motivating the workers? Then Mayo did a study. Mayo said, no, I think something else is in place. What? Social factors, morale, interpersonal relationship, effective management. And then F.J. Roethlisberger also contributed to this, that morale of the employee, motivation, satisfaction, interpersonal relationship. I talked about labor and management, effective management. They are helping the employee to do greater work. So nowadays, when you talk about employee satisfaction, job satisfaction, whether they are having um, great experience in their job or not, you can often go to the Elton Mayo study, and you can see that they did a good work, because Herzberg's motivation theory, we know the XY theory, we will talk about theory of Z, theory of Z. You will see that nowadays we are looking at things, okay, I have seen it, I have seen people studying this, but at that time it was something. And then how can we take forward from that, you know? So, systems theory, Chester Bernard did the social systems approach. I will do it with a diagram in another session. But first, you understand the basics. Because often I have seen many people don't even know the management process and principles. They don't study the general management, they don't study different perspectives from management. And in some places, it is taught like a history lesson. People are showing history and they don't know how to get insights from history, so it is a hodgepodge. But what I can tell you is the way you can approach this subject is the different perspectives, different points of view, and how they contributed to these different perspectives, and how they all contributed to management. So you can find your own perspective, uh, and you have studied all these things. So that's a great way to approach management. Then modern management, we have Peter Drucker, especially general management. We have Edwards Deming, did incredible work in the quality management. Lawrence Peter, Lawrence Peter actually said everyone will eventually go to a place of promotion, and then there is nothing to be promoted. So study Lawrence Peter, and you will understand how people misunderstand Lawrence Peter nowadays. William Auchi did a theory of Z. Then Thomas Peters, Robert Waterman, C.K. Prahlad, and Gary Hamel worked on core competency, not just business units. Because I talked about business units. You have these business units in place, but what is your core competency? So very soon we will start different kinds of sessions on business strategy or advanced business strategy. We will talk about different things, and you will see that uh, core competency. What is your core competency as a business? We are not just talking about business units, rather, we are talking about core competencies, right? So, Jay Burney, he talked about the resource based view. We know about the resources, now it is the resource based view. Clayton Christensen, obviously, when we talk about management or a business strategy, we talk about Clayton Christensen. But he also talked about managing innovation disruption. So this Peter Drucker, we talk about Peter Drucker when we talk about general management. Then when we talk about this business strategy or five forces, we talk about Michael Porter. Then when we talk about disruption or managing innovation, we talk about Clayton Christensen. So great names you should know. And they have contributed a lot to the management theory and management literature. So coming to Frederick Taylor, what he proposed or what he suggested, rules of thumb to organized knowledge or science. You're having group action and you are achieving harmony in group action. Achievement of cooperation you're having. Because people are coming together, they are working together, and you are having the achievement of cooperation. You have the restricted output, then you are going to maximum output. I talked about it, maximum output. So restricted output, এতটা করব এতটা করব না থেকে maximum output. How we can maximize our output, how we can have maximum output using the resources. Development of all workers. Prosperity, it can be individual goals are being met, company goals are being met, and there is a lot of overlap. And the more you are dedicated to the company or the company culture, or the more you are dedicated to the company's vision and mission statement, or the values the company holds for or holds the values the company holds, the more you are like attached to that, you are um, naturally you are very congruent with the company's goals. So then you can do a lot of work. Prosperity, you will prosper, people will take you as an example, a great leader who is leading by example, who is meaning what he is saying or she is saying. But this individual goals and company goals, why I took some time in that, because often we don't create a work culture, and it is a flaw in leadership too, a flaw in management too. Often we don't create a culture of leadership or personal leadership where individuals are not giving their best. They are not satisfied to do the work. They are not giving their best. They are not coming with their best potential or talents. They just do the work. They want to get some. They want to get some wages. They want to get some pay. They want to do this and that with that money. They want to have a lifestyle. Maybe they want to have a social status, but they are not giving their best to the company. But if you have great management, I talk about effective management, great management, a great work culture, you will see that people will feel like giving a lot. They are getting paid for that. That is your job. Remuneration you are giving them their proper like compensation. You're designing the package accordingly, and that is part of the organizational structure too. They know what they're supposed to do. They know how they can go beyond it. That's why you have the incentives, you have the rewards, you have the training process, you have the training principles, you have the training regime, you have the training processes where you are training different kinds of employee, and they are coming with uh, individual growth, the growth of the company, and they are coming up with so many things, great ideas, value adds. Frederick Taylor talked about it. Then your Henry Fayol, I talk about Henry Fayol, Henri Fayol. It's like you know modern operational management, authority and responsibility, unity of command. Sometimes it is coming from your official factors. It can come from your position. It can come from your personal factors. It is giving you authority, and obviously with authority you will have responsibility. Power, with power you will have responsibility. And I talk about it many times, and this is a very important scenario because nowadays the more we have the um, technical revolution or technical evolution or technical things replacing human work, you have to understand it comes with responsibility. It has its good and bad aspects. Now how you manage in spite of that, how you manage, how you utilize those technical revolution or technical advancements to to build your company in a better way, the new world of work, the new way of doing the work. It can be a hybrid environment, it can be many things, many ways of doing the work, but ultimately the values and the principles in the first place. You have to build that work culture where people are working. It is not a one time or two time thing. It is not a 1 year or 2 year thing. Many people are coming with that mindset. 1 year I will do this, 2 years I will do this, and then I don't care about the company. It is not about that. When you are in charge of that company, where you are at a higher management, what you are doing, you have a 5 term goal, you have a 5 year goal, you have a 10 year goal, whatever be the thing. You have seen this Gartner's research or maybe Forrester's research. You know that these technologies are coming. You have experienced it. Maybe you have experienced the beta products or beta versions. You know that you have used the prototypes maybe, and you are in touch with the information that these technologies are coming. Maybe you are already thinking how you can integrate it with your business processes, how you can utilize that in your business processes, and how you can get maximum output, create revenue, make a lot of profit, but not at the cost of dissatisfying your employees or dissatisfying your customers, not serving your customers, your internal public and your external public. So you why I talked about general management and the management theories. You have a lot of perspectives. Different ways of doing business. The this your uh, finance. The production. The personal and HRM. The marketing. But how the human beings or your people are working in that environment, and how you can use automation, robots, artificial intelligence, machine learning to enhance your business processes, or the business production, or maybe the revenue streams, how you can enhance that without compromising the quality. So Henri Fayol talked about authority and responsibility, unity of command. There can be one a person who is giving the command at the top. Then scalar chain. Scalar chain, he talked about you have a lot of subordinates who are in the chain of supervisors, but it is flexible. Often you need to break the chain to do some specific work. It is possible. But you have a chain of command, you have a chain of subordinates, and then spirit the corps. Obviously, I talked about it. In planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating, and controlling. Now, this commanding, you will see that is obviously leading nowadays. So, planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating, and controlling. What does it mean? Planning. You're doing the planning. You're doing organizing. You're organizing the people, or you're organizing the structure of the business. Commanding. You are commanding. You are communicating your vision. You are telling them what to do. You are delegating the tasks. Then you are coordinating people. A great thing in business and management. A big part of management is coordination. How you are bringing people together to do a particular job. Then you are leading. You are inspiring them with a great vision. You know, and controlling. Whenever there is a deviation, you know your business values. You know your business vision. You know your individual values. How you are aligning your business goal with your actions. So you're doing the controlling. Nowadays you see that obviously, and whatever you do, you will face these things, in your business or in your work. Now, approaches, there can be empirical or case approach, but these approaches come with their this your pros and cons. So empirical or case approach, you are taking a situational approach. You are taking a particular case, you are taking a particular situation, maybe you're not deriving enough theory from that. So managerial roles approach, I will come to that. In three ways you can do that: interpersonal, uh, informational, and decision roles. Mintzberg did it, but it is not accepted by a lot of people because the sample set is very low. Five CEOs were taken as sample space. So as and that's the reason many people don't believe in that. Many people don't accept that, and there is a big set of there's a large set of people, who believes in those roles. Because the moment I will talk about the roles, figurehead, liaison, leader, and the disseminator, and all these roles, you will see that we see these roles actually around us when we are doing some work. So contingency and situational approach, then your mathematical and management science approach, where you are taking the management science approach, mathematical approach, systems, equations, symbols. You're taking the business processes, you're putting it in diagram, framework, symbols. The management science approach. Decision theory approach, as I mentioned before. Is management more than decision making? If it is, then what? How? The decision theory approach. You are having the CPM part, network theory, network diagrams, and then you're looking at decision theory, and there are other ways as well. So how you are taking decisions, how you are improvising your decision making processes, how you are choosing better alternatives, how you are generating different alternatives, everything. So then your re-engineering approach, if there is something wrong in the process, how you are re-engineering the entire thing. Management process and operation or operational approach, again you're learning from the environment, and then accordingly you are tweaking things. Systems approach, as I just mentioned, system and then the interaction with the environment. I started with this. So socio-technical systems approach, then cooperative social systems approach, group behavior approach, interpersonal behavior approach, then your McKinsey 7S framework. You have strategy, you have structure, you have systems, you have style, then you have staff, you have shared values, you have skills. So these are the 7S framework. Like 7S, S stands for all these seven items I talked about. And that is the McKinsey 7S framework. TQM, you look at Deming, you look at Uran, and they looked at 1961. Toyota talked a lot about this total quality management. So that is an approach you can take. But often you will see when we are dealing with personals, we are talking about motivating, counseling, leading, communicating, because communication is a big part. You cannot ignore that. You cannot ignore communication. Sometimes in business re-engineering, you are doing radical redesign, right? So organizational processes, you are looking at how you can improve the process. And these you have these business functions, or this units for specific thing, finance, production, personal, marketing. They are supposed to do specific things: finance, marketing, personal, then your production, different departments. But how you are doing, you are taking people, you are taking resources from outside. What they are supposed to do, they are providing you the people.
the environment. They are providing you the capital. They are providing you the managerial skills. They are providing you the technical knowledge and skills. I talked about in the stakeholder communication. What are you getting? Technical skills, technical knowledge, your managerial skills. People are bringing it. So your resources are bringing it. How you are achieving that? And that the goal integration is a very important thing. Then total quality management, and in many ways I can talk about satisfying products and services you are having. Deming talked about it. Then products and services that are fit for use. Huran talked about it. Now this quality requirements, Crosby mentioned it. But often, if you have been in the business environment for a long time, you will see that we often do that. Often we do something and we talk about all these things, and you will see that some people have already talked about it, and maybe you are adding something new to that, so you can find your findings, you can find your new explorations, and you can go back to the past. You can look at the other people and their contributions, and you can figure out, then you can take it from there, or you can take your own approach. You can find an overlap, but maybe you are coming up with something more. So you can write a book, you can write a paper, you can write a lot of articles regarding leadership and management, but you're contributing to the management literature. A great thing to do. So generally we talk about cost management, morale, employee satisfaction, conflict resolution, market share, innovation, research, effective planning. When you talk about business, you talk about all these things, and I have mentioned it many times. And action oriented approaches, solution oriented approaches, your needs of the customers you are understanding, needs of the people you're understanding, entrepreneurship, company philosophy, values and principles I talked about, knowledge of the business, knowledge of the industry you are having, organizational structure you are having, lean management you are having. So you're understanding all these things. Then your theory, science and practices we are looking at. So these things, and ending with Mintzberg's 10 roles, interpersonal roles, where you are having the figurehead, leader, and liaison, and then informational roles, the recipient, receiving it, disseminator, disseminating it, spokesperson, talking to the other people or the external environment. The spokesperson may be a PR person who is talking about his or her company or the business white papers, or maybe some event occurred and they are talking about those events and how the business stands for this. What is the impact of that event? You will see many people talking about their companies, sometimes industries, in front of public, doing a press conference. Then decision roles, entrepreneurial, disturbance handler, resource allocator, negotiator. I mean, the names speak for itself. So you understand. And just the figurehead, if you don't understand figurehead, ceremonial activities, social activities, and again, you are interacting with people. That's why interpersonal. Leader, obviously, you are leading with uh, your vision, and your people are well aware of that. You're inspiring them to do great work. But figure it, you may not know the word, I just mentioned it. And entrepreneurial, disturbance handler, some disturbance is happening, you're handling that. Resource allocator, you're allocating your resources, again coming to efficient resource allocation. Negotiator, you're negotiating the deals and so many other things, business proposition. So these are the things I wanted to talk about. Often we miss out these things, and it's always good to go back to these things and have a warm up, or to look at these things, because we can take a step back and then we can come back with greater momentum. We are realizing, we are introspecting what we have done wrong. This person talked about it, maybe we are doing it, but maybe one or two things we learn from this thing, and then we can implement it. And in this current scenario, in this current particular situation, this is really helpful. So we can go back, we can learn from that, and we can find our own approach. Maybe by doing this particular thing, whatever we have learned, or taking our particular approach, we can add to the management literature as a case study, as an example. Or maybe you are generating theory, you're generating a management science, you're generating a scientific theory. You are maybe you are coming with different processes in this way. So we can always contribute to management and leadership. The more you are well equipped, the more you are obsessed with management and leadership, taking the relaxation, taking the step back. But it's like you are motivated by something more than the external validation. Then you can contribute a lot, right? So thank you for staying with me. I hope you enjoyed the sessions. In the next session, I will come up with something else.